All right, I'm called over to the town board meeting at the Town of Lisbon Town Hall on Monday, November 28th, 2022 at 6:32 PM. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Here.
Supervisor Flotecker,
Here.
Supervisor Moonen,
Here.
Supervisor Field, here, Supervisor Quinn,
Here.
Administrator Nicholas, here, and Clerk Capazza Catch to record the minutes.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 is comments from citizens present. We have nobody in the audience. We have one participant on Zoom. If you'd like to make a comment, if you'd use the raise hand function. All right, item 4 is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a town board member requested an item be removed from the consent agenda. We have the November 9th, 2022 special town board minutes. The line of credit reduction number 3 for Pheasant View Metals in the amount of $84,670.99. Approval of resolution 2022-06, approving the 2023 municipal court budget. And reappointment of Ed Brocker and Bruce Worth to the Police and Fire Commission for 3-year terms. I would ask that we take item D separately. Does anyone else have any other ones they'd like to have removed or for separate consideration? Or is there a motion on the remaining items for the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented,
Minus item D.
minus item D.
Is there a second? Second, Linda, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. For item D, I would ask that we reappoint Ed Brocker tonight, as I have spoken with him. But wait on the Bruce Worth until the next meeting. I'd make a motion to approve, reappoint Ed Brocker to the Police and Fire Commission for a 3-year term. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 5, accounts payable, authorizing the payment to the Falls Auto Parts bill in the amount of $111.73.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Linda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item B, authorizing the payment of the remaining bills in the amount of $243,478.29.
Top five expenses are $76,873.40 for the West Bank Group, $56,996.55 for the Washington State. Treasure, $41,214 for rural mutual insurance, $11,010.30 to the municipal lawn vacation group, $5,356.80 for both. Ask for your approval.
Any questions or comments, or is there a motion on the check register?
Make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Paula. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, announcements and correspondence. We have a joint public hearing and plan commission meeting on Thursday, December 1st at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Fire Station. Next town board meeting will be the 12th, which has been canceled. Then we'll have a special town board meeting on the 19th at 6:30 here at the town hall. The Parks Committee meeting will also be on the 19th at 6:30 at the Richard Young Fire Station. And then the Sanitary Sewer District number 1 Commission meeting would be the 21st at 6:30 here at the town hall. Any other announcements or correspondence? All right, item 7, administrator report.
Last week's work with the treasurer on tax bills and inserts. Both are going through final proofing and sign off, expected to be completed by now. We'll update them, we'll update all of you by email, letting you know when the bills were actually passed in the mail. But we're in our road place right now. Tax bills will have the Katie as the county, just as it was done last year. And we didn't have we didn't have any complaints about them paying Waukesha County. Our only complaint was that our insert said one thing and the tax bill said another thing, so we changed our inserts to match the tax bill.
What was it? What was the discrepancy?
So we had on our flyer last year, we said the payee was Town of Lisbon, but the tax bill said Waukesha County. We tried to get tax bill to say Lisbon, but then it messes up their system to be able to. We didn't have any problem with people writing a check to Lisbon, not coming to cash them. I reviewed the insurance, including cyber insurance. We've got to make some changes in our education to get cyber insurance and to follow up on a couple of areas. One was looking into that. Discussion with staff on their responsibilities for changes. Work on the website was done. So we're not double dipping and everybody knows their specific area that they're expected to change. I set up a Dropbox, document sharing site for our planning and fire inspection, so we don't have a loss in any applications that come through in our fire inspection. Runs with the planning as well. I attended the fourth budget meeting and town association meeting. Worked on press release addressing the incorporation, met with Nancy on our charter ordinance. Just a reminders about Saturday's event and that I'll be on vacation starting Sunday. The last team's meeting last week. The clerk department report prepared the proposed 2023 budget. Clerk's office and elections and reviewed that with myself. Worked on preparing for the November election. Processed one dog license, 22 compost sites, 2 parking citations, 2 park reservations, and special assessment letters, and did various tasks to prepare for the November election. The highway division started their 3rd round of roadside mowing. Painted the concrete shed and pulled the feeder wire to bring in power to the office. Tree work was done along North Lisbon, subdivision, repaired worm preventer on the east end of the highway and drive trucks. The Parks Division staff continued their weekly mowing of all the parks, prepped the Stone Family Park for the grand opening, performed maintenance on park trucks and equipment needed. DPW director conducted monthly public works county meetings, attended budget workshops, and prepared capital and operating budgets for the department. Attended meetings to discuss transition to sanitary district. The sanitary district continued clerical tasks as usual. The fire department, there were 5 fire departments over 49 medical, 13 ALS intercept, 17 in-facility transport, 7 vehicle accidents. We're receiving mutual aid 4 times and 8 mutual aid 26 times. Our sheriff department had 103 traffic stops, 55 citations, 38 for warning, 12 written warnings, specifically fired in less than 51 times, did 89 building checks and had 20 911 meetings. The reports, I'll email full reports to you in tomorrow morning. So that is my report.
Any questions for Kathy? Thank you, Kathy. Item 8 is incorporation update.
All right, so today the judge signed our order for the election. So the election is set for January 10th. We already reached out to the county clerk and they're starting the process of getting everything programmed and balanced. January. All I have on the incorporation.
Any questions?
What kind of information are we going to provide for that? Like how is that notice going to go out to the public?
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Would we like to, we can send out the same card. We have plenty of cards and put something on it that says election is January 10th. We have to really keep to the facts. If it's coming out of our pockets, out of the town's pockets, we can't really spend any money for to sway our residents one way or another. Now that there's an election, we have to just be the facts. And that's what our flyer was. It was just facts. So we have those flyers, we have extra ones, we can mail those out if you'd like to do that. We put, like I said, a sticker on, the election is, January 10th. We can use something like that, but any residents can, or groups can put out flyers as well. But it can't come.
Okay.
You said, who pays for those flyers? Who paid for those flyers originally then?
The flyers that we put out, the informational flyers, they were paid by us, by the town, and, but they are just information, and so that's allowed. Because we can't sway them to vote
Right.
one way, so I can't say on a flyer, the town can't say vote for, or vote against.
How many flyers do you have enough to send out to everybody again?
Yeah, because our printed name state, legally, so. I don't,
You should send it out. Again, to remind everybody, so, because you have to have a certain percentage, or is it just the people that vote?
just the majority vote,
Majority of what?
Who votes?
of whoever votes.
Whoever votes.
So
Okay,
10
So we
people.
had 10 people vote. The 51 people.
I got you. I was thinking of population. Okay, that's understood. Thank you.
And then, when it comes to a village board, it's 5% of the number of people that voted at this election. Of how many signatures the people that are going to run for the village board. Hope for a large turnout, or maybe not.
Any calls coming in for people?
Interested? No.
No.
Yes, that part of the year, and that January, February is a hard time to walk around to collect signatures. I can attest to that.
Yes. So it looks
So-
like in 2023. Election, January, the regular February primary. If the January election passes, we'll have a March election and then our regular April election, so 4 months,
Oh.
4 elections.
So it'd be the January
January,
incorporation, February primary, March village board, and then in April it would be,
regular January.
but not for us. We'd already be set.
So there wouldn't be any reason to hold that over and do it both of them in April? No?
We've thought about that, doing it, there's a timing issue, but we've thought about doing it. Our problem is statute for incorporation allows a candidate to bring in papers as close to 15 days before an election to be on the ballot. Well, we have to, for the April election, we have to have ballots out for days before, weeks before. So we would have had to send out an A ballot with the original April ballot, and then as soon as we had all the names on the ballot for we'd have to send out another set of ballots for everybody that got, everybody that got
That would be very confusing.
Where incorporation law hasn't caught up with modern times of absentee ballots.
Something I can suggest in the legislature as a change. Just as a clerical change.
Good.
For the next.
Good luck. I don't think they could agree that the sun's up.
I can give them.
I gave him a give me once, still waiting.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Lisbon economic conditions update.
I do not have.
Safe to say they're still not good. Item 10 supervisor reports.
I think we thought we have our meeting, our last meeting, with the three of us on the 21st.
Okay,
Big for me.
Mark,
Nothing.
Becky,
Actually, just to clarify, we got no meeting on the 26th.
just one meeting in December.
Correct.
All right. Item 11, unfinished business. A, discussion and necessary action regarding ordinance 2022-14 to amend the nuisance code.
This came before you once before, but we tabled it. Due to the fact that we didn't have the red line version. We have the red line version in front of you. The idea of these changes was to, make the, allow the nuisance ordinance to actually be measurable. We have a lot of, verbiage in the, in our ordinance that is not really, it's not really measurable by our building inspector or our, officers. So, the other portion of the changes were to, follow, we have a new procedure for, abatement and our policy and procedures that we passed early on, and we never corrected it in the code itself. So that was that's part of the thing that. Do you have any questions on any other things that supervisor change? This has been reviewed by our attorney.
I did see in 5.02, there's a decibel noise limit. And it identifies it as light motor vehicle in excess of 80 decibels at any location within a residential area of Lisbon.
I went on to what?
I'm sorry, it's a ways down. 5.02. 5.02D. And then
C,
C,
On
19C.
page
It's on
four.
page 4 of 7.
on page 3, right at the top of the page, it still says Town of Lisbon. I don't know if that makes a difference. Under number 6,
Um,
What about the,
I just think it's maybe too specific for the applicability of our town. In the sense of if somebody's in a non-residential area. Essentially the decibel doesn't apply to them. And also too, if somebody's driving a heavy motor vehicle. The 80 doesn't apply to them. So essentially what this is allowing is a heavy motor vehicle could be in somebody's subdivision. And be in excess of 80 decibels and not be unlawful. I think it's too specific for the different neighborhoods versus residential versus in commercial areas that we have. I would just do one across the board. I would eliminate residential area.
You want a decibel rating though?
So the hard part about that is you have to have something to measure it in, and in the moment, how are you gonna measure it? So if somebody calls and complains about somebody's exhaust in their neighborhood and they don't have a decibel meter that is within standard, they're not gonna be able to measure it. They're just gonna be able to say there's a noise complaint.
It's a chainsaw is louder than 80 decibels.
Yeah.
We had talked about this a long time ago too.
This was in there, we didn't change, the only thing I changed in this section was that I took out town,
Mhm.
the town. But if you don't think it applies, would you like to?
It's not that it doesn't apply, it's just in practicality, I mean, it's gonna be difficult for the sheriff's office to enforce.
There's two different ways to
And
report
it's
decibel
really-
rating too.
I did look to see if there was something, I did some searches to find out if there was something, some handheld. You know, you can do a DVI on your phone, but that's not real accurate,
No,
but there was something that was easily measured, but it was.
yeah, I mean, I think the more specific you get, the harder it is to enforce. And I don't think that's the intent of the noise limit. It's like the chairman said, a chainsaw could be more than that.
Weed whacker, a chainsaw, a blower,
Harleys,
oh, yeah,
I have one.
which are not enforced anyway.
Yeah,
They already don't.
So. So do we want to take the DVA down?
Well, I mean, I think we need we need some way to capture a violation. I guess in general terms, we could put it as noise which unreasonably annoys the public. So that way, I mean.
Actually, look at D. Does D maybe cover it? Shall be unlawful for any person to operate a light motor vehicle within the corporate limits of Lisbon, such as to cause excessive noise levels as a result of defective or modified exhaust system, or as a result of unnecessary rapid acceleration, deceleration, revving, or the squeal or tire squeal, or as a result of the operation of audio devices such as, but not limited to radios, phonographs.
Tape
And
players.
tape players,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
We take those out.
The state of audio systems.
Yeah, I would say amplifying device, audio device.
Or maybe you just leave out C then altogether. It does cover it.
It does. Again, I would also, for the excessive noise, it's excluding medium or heavy motor vehicles.
It references the muffler statute too.
Or
At every
the
state.
motorcycles. You know,
So should we just take out light? Operating a motor vehicle with corporate.
yeah.
People would lay out.
Or including that limited to motorcycles or whatever.
Well, leave it in there. They're just not gonna enforce that portion. I know that's not right, but
Okay.
you don't see a lot of Harleys getting ticketed for faulty exhaust.
No, no, true.
So are you affecting the C?
Drop C and then drop light in D.
Light
Yeah,
and get rid of phonographs and tape players.
just audio devices.
License to auto.
Yeah, I mean, so D is actually encompassed under only vehicular noise. Not somebody sitting outside with their phonograph in their yard.
Breaking mine out later. So, I mean- D, public nuisance is affecting peace and safety. Sub 9, all loud disordinate and unnecessary noises, vibrations of any kind. Corey's gonna have a hard time operating.
I would say they're necessary by conditional use.
Top of page 3, I mean, so there's a lot of things that are covered. I mean, as far as from the police officer's perspective, if we eliminated C and changed D, take out light, I mean, does that seem like that would be enough to enforce?
Yeah, I mean, essentially. The reason why municipalities put in a numeric limit is so that they can say this is above or this is below. Here's the number measured off a device. But in real practicality, that's only good if you are able to stop somebody, but if the public at large wants to complain about a vehicle, the average citizen isn't gonna possess a decibel meter,
Got one.
average citizen.
Does that mean I'm above or below?
Special citizen.
Special.
All right, I'll remove C, take out the word light and D. Take out phonograph and tape player and put in amplified audio system.
And put an O in Lisbon.
Is there? I guess. Is there a special meaning behind corporate limits of Lisbon? Because it doesn't really reference. Corporate limits anywhere else within the,
Supposed to be the incorporated limits or is it corporate? Is that?
Corporate. The word actually not a corporate limit until after we incorporate.
Right.
So we're just, it's a different verbiage that they should have used originally.
Can you just leave it as limits?
Yeah.
Take off the. I mean, does that,
Or you could even just say within Lisbon. Take out, shall be unlawful for any person to operate a motor vehicle within Lisbon, such as to cause excessive noise as a result of defective or modified exhaust.
Right. Anything else?
No.
Hmm?
Well, is there then a motion on ordinance 2022-14 with those changes?
I'll make, oh, go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 12, new business, A, discussion and necessary action to approve resolution 2022-07, authorizing the issuance and sale of $520,000 of general obligation promissory note.
The process of for capital projects.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2022-07, authorizing the issuance and sale of a $520,000 general obligation promissory note.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mark, any discussion?
What's the interest rate on again? 3.4%.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item B, discussion only regarding employee compensation study.
Right, so I wanted to just discuss with you. I have received some quotes from a couple of vendors, and I thought I really need to get a rough representation of what we're looking for. So I do have kind of a few things that I jotted down here that we'd like them to review our current compensation system, analyze our employee placements within the system, conduct marketplace research, both public and private, review current position descriptions against job-related questionnaires outline the total compensation package in our benefits package, and then work toward performance pay increase by determining merit metrics for the employees. That the employees must meet to earn a merit increase, and then review the fire department step increases to see if they're the best tool to reduce employee retention. Do you have any other suggestions? Anything that I said that you think we don't need to put in our scope?
What was the fire department part?
I just said, review our the step increases, to see if they are the best tool to increase the employee retention.
Is that where they've been so long on the job?
Yeah, it's like an automatic increase every year, so they get, right now, they get a $5,000 increase every year for working there. And then on top of that, they get the increase that you do the across the board increase. So their step increases along as well, so
Is there a maximum that they can go up?
it only goes for 3 steps. But then the question is from the people that sit at top step, you know, their people underneath them are getting 5% or $5,000 increases until they get to their same step, and they're not getting it. So, you know, when I speak with a couple of those people, we only have a couple of those. they're at their highest point in those steps. They don't have another step to go to, and they'd like to see us add steps to it. I just don't know if, because we are one of a handful of municipalities that are still using steps. Others have broken away from the step increases. The other thing with our steps are we are requiring everybody to start at step one, and we haven't really taken a look at, qualified individuals that might be able to have certifications and qualifications that bring them at step two or step three right away. But if we're gonna take somebody from another department that wants to work for Lisbon, and they have all the certifications, to ask them to start at step one, they're gonna stay at their current employment. But if we can bring them in at a higher step, or if we want a higher step to go. I just thought that might be an area that we could look into. If we think that we can, I'd be happy.
I guess for me, I may be looking at the fire department as a little bit of a separate entity to this, because that is a much larger. The fire department alone is gonna be probably larger than the whole scope of what we're doing. I don't know how you feel about that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I personally would keep the fire department out at this point. Just because, like the chairman said, I think they're very uniquely different in their structure than the rest of the government townwide. And I think essentially what I think we're looking for is a compensation classification study. Some of those bullet points that you mentioned earlier are germane to that kind of study, so.
Any idea on the performance increases? They need to set some metrics for our employees so they know when they hit their base. Or when they've gone above them to earn their increase. If you still want to measure.
Yeah, I think it's good for everybody as far as it knows where the board should be placing people upon entry into the workforce, and it also gives the employee an idea of what their limits are.
So the other thing was, when we were looking for new employees, we talked about salary ranges. This might be something else that we want to look at when they're doing their comparison study. And our current employees, we might be able to change the positions into like a range of pay. So they're not all starting at $25 an hour, $20 an hour. And I come to the board and ask for more than what the former person I've done, but I think in the place of the DPW, I think they all start at the same, and then they just move up. You have somebody that has skills that we could use in different formats, and they go into, say, the highway division position, there might be a range of pay instead of just a set base. That's something that we want to look at, is also a range for our positions, or do we want to stay at a base?
I think a range personally is probably the way to be, depending on the position. I mean, there's certain positions, so like you're talking in the Parks Department where you're hiring summer help for like grass cutting. I don't know that needs to necessarily have a range, but hiring a DPW worker that has 20 years of experience versus hiring somebody fresh out of school. Obviously, those are two drastically different things.
Yeah, and somebody for a clerical position that's got, Excel skills or whatever, I think you're gonna have a lot more candidates in that pool if you have a range rather than just one set piece.
Anything else you think? And you're gonna submit this for bids out there?
So my thoughts were that we go for just quote. I had two offers, and one was 12,000 and one was 24,000. If we want to stay under the 25,000, we can just put in class one notice and go out and get quotes instead of going through a whole RFP or proposal. Yeah, the burden of it, if you like, you go out and then you can get some quotes and bring them back in. This as well as going up around. Look at spend over $25,000.
I don't think we know.
Yeah. I don't think we have the information to say whether or not it would or would cost more or less than 25.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'd hate to include somebody at 24,000 and exclude somebody way better at 26.
So we should go on.
I would.
Everybody good with that? You figure how much we pay everybody though, too. That's
I know, I know.
Improperly, yeah,
employee retention and,
improperly paying people,
right,
underpaying, overpaying,
it all costs
it's
money.
all
too.
gonna be more than 25,000.
Now, are we basing this study off of the positions that we have right now, or are we also looking to see, do we have the right positions?
They're gonna review the positions to see if they, if the categories fit the current position.
Okay,
So that, yeah, I mean, just a point of clarification, that wouldn't be under the compensation classification. You would have to do an organizational analysis.
So are the companies that were looking to do this, or do they specialize in like municipality kind of thing, like this
Yeah.
type of business? Yeah.
Do you think it'll make a difference if we're a town or village as far as the payment goes, or no? And the town has never done this, correct? No,
never.
no.
Just what I found recently was the Dodge County did one 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. And they did a compensation classification study.
Some of the information that's gonna be needed for this is also probably gonna be based on what we're gonna be as a village. So this isn't gonna be something that's gonna come back in 4 months or anything. I mean, this is gonna take some time. Cause we still have to decide what we're gonna look like, right?
I will, put this together, put a RFP together, and bring it back for the next. None of
I mean, do we need it by the 19th, or does it matter if it comes in January? Anybody
Come in
care?
January, I don't think you have to rush and
No,
not
worried about
pack
it
for
being-
your trip and, you know.
you have a hard time keeping their laptop on the kayak.
And your phone.
the,
Phone's waterproof, laptop isn't.
Very good. And so, I had sent you I sent you an email about workshops for the charter ordinance. I'm following our meeting on January 9th. I'd also like to do a workshop following the meeting on the 19th. I'm gonna send you before, by Friday, before I leave, a checklist of all policies I want you to consider. At least 3 of the charter ordinances of others around us that have recently done a new charter ordinance in village for you to review. And then on the 19th, we can kind of go over your thoughts of what you want to look like. And then by the 9th, I can have like a draft of the ordinance that we can go through with Macy, and we can kind of sit and go through that, go through the final. As the election will be on the 10th, you can't really pass it until after the 10th. We want to pass it as quickly as possible because that makes the decision on the number of board members and things like that that have to be set before while you're out in term. If you're
What was the date you were targeting for the election in March? That wouldn't even be here. Like an absentee ballot, right? Right.
Yes, and we looked at.
Somebody's gotta do the meeting on the 13th. I won't be here on the 13th for the board meeting in March, so.
No, I won't either.
Well,
Well, maybe I will. I have to check.
Right, that's all I have on the, scope. If anybody comes up with something more added, please email me.
what, so assuming that the election, so if it happens on the 14th of March, when would the new village board their first meeting be?
These 14 meetings.
So then it would be-
But I figured I'd give you that time.
So the town board or it would be the village board. The old village board would still meet on the 27th, and then the new village board, their first meeting essentially would be like April 10th then.
Right. For the interim board members. On that first meeting right after the election. And remember, we have to also wait for certification. So once the election happens, we give the information to the clerk of courts. And then they give, the clerk of courts gets that to the secretary of the Department of Administration. Then they come back with our certification. So that might take us another week or so, and then like 40 days after that to go through.
All right. All right. Anything else? We're going to item 13, which is our closed session. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 parent C for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically regarding personnel matters and the administrator's evaluation. Also stating that no other personnel matters will be discussed during this except for the administrator's evaluation. Is there a motion to go into closed session? Moved by Linda, is there a second?
Second.
By Mark. Any discussion? All in favor, roll call vote, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Aye.
Supervisor Flotecker,
Aye.
Supervisor Moonen,
Aye.
Supervisor Beal, Supervisor Quinn.
Aye.
We're in closed session and it's 7:15.